Hey, welcome back to the podcast at Implement Impact here. We've been gone for quite a while. For anybody who hasn't listened yet, we're kind of studying people who have made small changes in their life. For when it comes to entrepreneurs or high performance people, basically taking what they make in little changes and putting it into one podcast so people can make little changes in their life that will impact themselves and their families. So I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Trevor Pline, if any of you don't know. We started recording a little over a year ago, and then we ran into some problems, which we'll be going over. We had a very interesting year and a half or so. And here with me, I got JJ.
I'm JJ. I am, Trevor's cousin-in-law now officially. I'll get into that more later. But as Trevor said, we started this podcast to, what was it that we had to help people implement small changes into their life that will have the biggest impact. Hence the name.
Yep. So basically what I said there, that long sequence of words that I had, you basically just summed it up there.
Yeah, but I read it, so.
Yeah, I should try that. I can't read, though. So we're going to get into it. We're going to start with just a update on where we've been. I can't remember when our last recording was. It was
the last time we recorded was April 2021, but that episode was lost. So I think the last episode that went up was like March or early April 2021. So it's been a year and a half, almost 2 years. It's been a while.
Yeah, and it's hard to believe that it went that.
I know.
It seems like it flew by.
And multiple attempts of like, next month we're gonna make this happen, and then shit happens in our lives that it's like, okay, never mind, we can't start. We're gonna start it in 6 months, and then and it's like, well, I'm getting married in 6 months, so okay, after that, then we'll do it. So finally, here we are.
Yeah, exactly. And after all the year and a half of what we've both kind of gone through. Yeah. I mean, not gone through, obviously. You getting some stuff. You getting married.
I basically had a year and a half of celebration, and you had a year and a half of work. So
yeah, but you signed your life away.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Just kidding.
She technically owns half of this podcast now.
Oh, really?
Well, I guess 25% because you own 50. Well, you own 51. I own 49. So whatever 49 divided by 2 is, she technically owns now that we're married.
Oh man.
Yeah,
I just haven't found anybody I love enough to give half of my
She's
stuff.
She's going to Yoko on this podcast.
So anyways, I'm going to get into it, just kind of where I've been this past year. And we've still been talking about all of this stuff offline, like, accountability. Like, I look to you personally as like a accountability partner.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, all these conversations have continued. It's a commitment to, do a weekly podcast like what we were trying to do, and now we're like, okay, let's like ease back into it. One podcast every 2 weeks. Once we get in that flow, then we'll go to like once a week kind of thing. But it's a commitment to be like, all right, well, we got to do the research, we got to pick the topic, we got to plan, we got to set up, we got to record, we got to edit, we got to post, and we got to promote. Like, there's a lot. There's a lot involved. If it was just sitting down recording a conversation, which technically it is, which we could do, I suppose. I mean, you could just sit there and be like, we're just going to hit record and then we're just going to upload it completely, But there is a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you don't realize go into podcasts until all of a sudden you're doing a podcast and then you're like, oh, well, shit, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just posting it and stuff.
Right, absolutely.
Try to get some quality out of it, too. Yeah. And obviously we're going to get better. That's kind of one thing that I've been pretty good at, is failing at stuff and then getting better somehow.
Well, I mean, it's what's the whole thing? It's only failing if you don't, fix it and try it, or if you don't get back up and try again and fix it. I don't know what the phrase is. It's only failing if you fail and then you just stop trying. It's something like that, right? But if you're like, okay, I messed this up, now I'm going to do this. Like, okay, I've learned the lesson from this failure, and now I'm going to go forth and try this again with that knowledge. And then, I mean, is that failing at that point, right? Maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe that's the difference from failing and failure.
Ooh, maybe that's failing is okay. Failure is not an option.
I like that. That's good.
Okay. Hashtag that.
So, leave a comment below.
Yes.
So when we first started this, we started in our old studio, which was a few yards that way.
Same building,
just over there a little bit. And shortly after, our studio burnt down, including my house and rental. So we started out in, learning to invest. I was like, hey, I kind of was interested in rentals.
Yeah.
Bought it. Lived there for 3 months. So that's kind of why we stopped recording for a while, is because we kind of lost our studio.
Yeah.
But, we rebuilt the house. You'll probably see some photos. We'll probably post some stuff up of me and JJ and Brooke demoing.
Yeah.
Obviously, very humbling time. A lot of great people came in, and we had to do what we had to do. So now we can kind of focus more on this. During that time, I actually created a website, built my own online business, which hasn't really turned a profit yet. But, it's all part of starting a business anyways. It's like starting a rental, and the next thing you know, you got to put a bunch of money into it to rebuild it. But again, that kind of fell off track there. We kind of talked about goal setting before.
Yeah.
But, that kind of starts with little tiny habits on what gets you to your goal. And also, one thing that I am not very good at is measuring, like every week or every day, measuring, like, did I do the things that I told myself I was going to do? Because, that's kind of essentially how you build self-confidence in yourself anyways, is keeping the promises to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it sets you up for success. I was just reading something, and I have yet to do it in my life, but I really need to, is that when you take 10 minutes every single day to plan out your next day, the productivity increases that people usually see is like gaining 2 hours in their day, because we waste so much time being like, okay, well, what do I do next? Okay, well, what am I going to do? Got to pick this and that. But if you're like, no, 10 minutes a day before, this is exactly what I'm going to be doing, you essentially save yourself 2 hours every single day, which is incredible. But like you said, on top of that, just reviewing that every night of like, okay, this is what I said I was going to do today. Did I do it? If not, why? And how would I rate myself? Then you just kind of, over time, you start to notice trends and patterns, right? Of like, okay, well, if I'm in this kind of mood, I usually am not so great in this area. So maybe I will all right, if I'm in this mood today, then I'm going to reduce the amount of whatever that I'm just not very productive at or not very good at in that day, and increase the amount of something else, because that counteracts and counterbalances it, right? Like if you're not in a great mood one day, you're like, you know what? Meeting with a bunch of people, doing cold calling or whatever, not very good at that. So, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do cold emailing that day or something, or, I'm going to do a little bit more budgeting that day or something, right? Just to kind of balance it out. Just notice your trends, your strengths and weaknesses, and then play on those, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, well, and that's just the thing, is that every year, we're coming up to it here soon, January 1st every year. Oh, I'm going to lose weight for, the next year.
Right.
But nobody ever says, oh, well, this week I didn't, or, even if you do weigh yourself every week for that specific goal, and then, you could do that 2 or 3 times a week, so you can find out what specific day you're gaining weight on. Like, weekends.
Right. Weekends often are killers.
Yeah, beer, food, whatever. Like, we're all social creatures. Well, typically all of us use that thing we call social lubricant, alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a weird way to say that.
I mean, it is what it's often referred to as a social lubricant.
Between that, like right when the house went down, I got into the high performance thing. Obviously, the entrepreneurs, I found a lot of patterns between entrepreneurs and high performance. Actually got a coach for a little bit, and I got down to about 13% body fat.
Nice.
Like I was looking good. People were making compliments on it. And then that kind of builds on why you're doing something too.
Right.
And then
everybody loves compliments.
Oh, absolutely. And but I moved back in with a family member of mine for a while, and then I just completely didn't look at that piece of paper. Like that's all it was just like a checklist of what I was doing to get the success that I was at, like building a website, sales funnel, like all these things that, like integrating systems. Like it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
But I just committed that hour of time a day to learning.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden I just kind of dropped off. So that's one thing too, is we all fall down, right? We just gotta pick ourselves up.
Well, that's what matters, right? Is that ultimately you pick yourself back up.
So that's really what I'm kind of looking forward to, is getting back into those goals. I know I'm probably going to try to shoot for, or I am shooting for 12% body fat.
Okay.
But I'm going to try to hit probably 15% by the end of the year.
If you don't mind my asking, I actually don't know this answer, so I'm actually asking because I'm curious. Do you know what percent you're at right now?
Yeah,
Are you okay with sharing that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'd say and again, this is going off like a smart scale, so they're extremely inaccurate. But it's just the only way. I'm not going to go get like a DEXA scan or anything like that because they're expensive, and I've also heard that they're kind of not the most accurate thing in the world.
It's very difficult to actually measure that. I know everyone's like, get the body fat calipers, and it's like, those are moderately accurate. Like I use that for myself, and it's not highly accurate, but it's what it is.
Because right now I'm at about 20, probably 19-20%.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's changing too, because here in the last few weeks, I've dropped 10 pounds.
Nice.
So,
very good.
So, yeah, that's one thing is when you gain 20 pounds and then you try running again, you're carrying an extra 20 pounds with you, which sucks.
Yeah. Well, especially on your knees. Because I mean, Brooke and I were just talking about it the other day. It's like for every, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's like every pound you gain is essentially like an extra 5 pounds of pressure on your joints or something. Like it adds up, it compounds on your joints quickly. So the more weight you put on, it's like, you're carrying an extra 20 pounds of weight, but it's like, man, on your knees, that's a lot. It's a lot more pressure that it's putting on your run.
Yeah, it makes sense. And look at the people that, unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that have a heck of a time walking.
Yeah.
So
that's my biggest fear, honestly, in life is like, I got to take care of myself, I mean, there's a lot of reasons I want to actually take care of myself. But one thing is, man, if I couldn't walk, that would be like legitimately devastating to me. Because I don't know, that's kind of like what I mean, that's what humans do, right? Like people take for granted how much they walk, right? You walk in the grocery store, you walk at work, you walk at school, you walk in your house to and from places. Like all of a sudden losing that ability would be detrimental just in that regard. But also if you're like, I just like to walk, like I just randomly I'll be like, I'm just gonna go for a walk. Like I just want to go for a walk right now. Don't know why. I do that multiple times a day, right? And if I couldn't do that, I go batshit insane. Like no doubt in my mind.
Yeah. By the way, we found out these cool little buttons on this, they call this thing podcast recorder thing. So if you ever hear any random cool noises, it's probably where they're coming from.
Yeah, it was silent, and I didn't know.
we had to break the silence there.
So what's a big win that you've had this past year?
A big win, I'd say building back up where we're sitting right now. Yeah, that's a big win.
No, it is.
Yeah, but that was kind of a decision I had to make too. Like, hey, did I just want to knock it all down and try to recover whatever money I could out of it?
Yeah.
Or did I want to rebuild it? Because that's why I bought the place.
Right.
An investment. So
yeah,
I think that's a big thing too, is kind of committing to that goal. And so I don't know. I'd like to say I'm pretty proud of myself for sticking with it. What about you? What's a big win?
Oh, a big win? Well, I got married to your cousin. So it's actually true. I literally got married to his cousin, Brooke, who, I mean, I'm guessing basically everybody who's listened to this podcast at this point in time knows who Brooke is. I mean, they know us. I don't think we've really reached on beyond our sphere of knowledge of people and everything. Eventually we will get there, but
one day we will.
One day we will. But until then, Brooke, I got married to Brooke, which is a big win in my book because, oh my God, it took me forever to just convince her to date me, So
yeah,
that was something. And then,
do you mind? Can you run me and the crowd through that?
Yeah. Okay. So, I thought you were getting ready to push a button.
No.
And then she turned me down. You're like,
oh,
that would be great.
I wish I had that button.
That would be so funny. I'm going to buy like an expanded thing here so that we got like 30 different sounds that we can hit. That would be wonderful.
That'd be legit.
Yeah, it would be. I'm going to do it. Okay.
So run us through this.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was all the way back in 2018. It's so right now when we're recording it, it's November 2022. So, a little over 4 years ago is when I first met her. And then I was like, we hung out a couple times and I was like, these are dates. And she's like, these aren't dates. I'm like, yes, they are. And then eventually she's like, we should be friends. And I was like, okay. And then I showed up the next day where we both worked and I had coffee and I was like, here you go. And she's like, okay, and we kept hanging out. And then eventually she's like, I think we should just be friends. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to be friends with you. Like, I got no interest in that. I felt like pretty early on that there was something special there. And I'm not condoning or promoting anything. I mean, I knew that there was something special there, so I was like, I'm gonna keep pursuing this. I wasn't stalking her. I wasn't like some freak that was just like texting her like, I'm right by your car right now kind of thing. She actually had that, but that wasn't me. I can say that. But I mean, I knew that there was something special there, and over time, she's just kind of like, okay, like, all right, he's cool, and then her sister, got married, and I showed up the day. I showed up to the rehearsal dinner, and hung out with the family. Then I showed up the next day. This was not like she didn't know that, or she knew that I was showing up. It's not like I just like randomly showed up to where she was at, right? Like she knew I was coming to the rehearsal dinner. Hung out with the family, got along with everyone, then showed up to help set up the wedding, then showed up to the wedding, and then showed up the next day to tear down the wedding, or not tear down, but like clean up after the wedding and everything.
How friendly of you as just a friend.
Yeah, just totally a friend. She said it was at that. She's like, that weekend was when I was like, okay, like, yeah.
This guy's got decent material to him.
Yeah, like, all right, he's more than a friend for sure.
I wasn't sure about you at first either, though. I think I remember telling you this.
You said that you thought I was a douche.
Yeah. I was, it was the hair. Because I was like, God, he's got more hair product than my sister does.
The funny thing is, I literally only have one piece of hair product too, and it's
really?
just like.
But you have the glasses and the hair, which I know that's kind of that's like
that's become my
your stamp.
I was gonna say
your marker.
The funny thing with the glasses and the hair and everything, it just started out as I kept losing and forgetting sunglasses everywhere. So I just started putting them on my head, and then eventually, over time, there was a period of time where I just didn't do that for a while. Sometime in the winter, when I didn't really need the sunglasses, and people were like, where's your sunglasses? I'm like, what? And they're like, you always have that. I was like, oh, I do. And I was like, all right, it's a thing now. So I just always have them now. It did not start intentionally that way, but now basically anytime you'll ever see me, I always have sunglasses in my hair, unless if I have a hat on.
Well, and even being in your wedding, it was pretty cool to see all the party have the same look. It was like the JJ look.
Yeah.
So, didn't you get married? You were on the altar and you had those things on.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
So fast forward, Brooke and I moved in together. We've been together for a while, proposed, everything, yada, yada, yada. We got married in September 2022. Trevor was in the wedding. I did not ask him to be in the wedding. He just showed up magically in the same suit, and no, he was invited. I asked him to be in the wedding, but no, we all had the sunglasses, and it was funny because people were asking me like, hey, are you gonna wear sunglasses in your wedding? And I was like, no, probably not, like all that. And Brooke's like, why? You should. Like, you always have sunglasses. Like, could probably count on two hands the number of days that I haven't seen you with sunglasses, so why not just wear them? And I was like, okay, if she says so. So I wore them, and when I'm done, like, we're standing up there, Brooke was like, yeah, people kept like looking at me and be like pointing like to see. She's like, I know, like, yeah, like, it's fine.
Look at all the groomsmen, they got it.
Yeah, like they all got So it was cool, man. I guess that's the whole story. I mean, the very long and yet condensed story of the last 4 years, right? So there was a whole process to get her to say yes to dating me, and then ever since then we've been together, and it was cool, because we lived together. I mean, we lived together for a long time before we got married, but during COVID, when everybody was like, work from home, stay at home, do this, do that, and everything, and then you had a bunch of married couples who like just fell apart, right? They were all of a sudden together, or even couples who were dating just broke up. These are like, no, can't do this. Brooke and I got way closer during COVID, right? Like, we spend honestly like probably 95% of the time together. I mean, we spend a lot of time together anyways, but it was very rarely apart, and we got closer, and then we got married.
I'd say that's a big
I saw
one.
your finger over there. I didn't know if you were going
I was
to
gonna
push
hit
a
the
button.
I was tempted to. But yeah, so we shared one of our wins. I don't know. I think it's important to share a win with somebody.
Yeah, we should do that every podcast. Like, what's a win from this week or these past 2 weeks or however long it's been?
Yeah, we could. And seriously, if people leave stuff in the comments below, and ultimately that's why we started this.
Right.
I feel like these last few years, like, I know we brought up the stats from 2020.
Yeah.
There's like all the suicides, the overdoses, like all the things that you could make a small change and just build momentum.
Yeah.
And I'm no doctor. I talk to a lot of them about this stuff. Like, a lot of these diseases we have could be very preventable.
Yeah.
And obviously there's genetics. There's a lot of things that you can't control.
Yeah.
But
no, it is true. And, I mean, it's, so Western medicine is great, right? Like it's a wonderful thing. We can treat and cure some like horrible ailments. However, it is meant to treat issues, right? And maintain and like address issues, not prevent it, right? Which a lot of times just preventing stuff is honestly just go outside, exercise, and eat healthier is basically what would prevent most of the diseases and issues that we have right now. It's great that we have Western medicine because there are things, that, well, we shit happens to people, right? I mean, we have a family member who had to have part of their thyroid removed because they just, for whatever reason, their body was not processing something. I don't know what exactly it was, right? So we had Western medicine that was able to remove part of the thyroid. That's wonderful. But they also had medicine that now they have to take every day to make up for that imbalance, right? That's a wonderful thing. However, there's a lot of stuff that people are like, sure, there are some people who legit have serious issues with depression and whatnot, issues with anxiety, issues with diabetes, issues with heart disease, where a lot of it is, if people just exercised, went out in nature a little bit more, maybe ate better, took some deep breaths throughout the day, a lot of these issues could actually be solved before they ever got to that point, or at least kept down to a bare minimum.
Yeah, please
go for it.
Let's get canceled.
I was gonna say I'm gonna get canceled before it even happens. No, but I mean, a lot of people don't want to address that, and it's not for anybody's fault. It's just that that's not what we're taught, right? You're raised this entire time saying like, no, like these things are just incurable, right? Like this is just what people have, and you need to take medicine to do that. And it's like, well, perhaps follow the money, right? Perhaps maybe just looking at, well, who's promoting most of this stuff? Like, right, where is this stuff coming from? These companies making billions or trillions of dollars a year that have a serious incentive to tell you, well, you need to take this medicine and you need to do this, otherwise you won't be okay. Now, some people do need to take medicine, absolutely. A lot of people, maybe we need to change the frame of mind that medicine should be the last resort. If we can fix it naturally, if we can fix it by just going outside or changing a diet or talking to someone, going to therapy, if we can fix these things without you having to go onto this medication that's going to change the chemistry and the balance of your body, maybe that's the first thing that we should try. And then if that doesn't work, okay, then we try medicine.
And that, right.
There's some of that out.
I think everybody's well aware.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty general. Like there's a lot of big companies out there that kind of push more than others.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and not to mention we live in such a instant gratification world.
Yeah.
Like you kind of see it. I obviously watch a lot of different YouTubers.
Right.
But even as simple as what like pornography is now.
Yeah.
Like just getting on your phone and now like relationships are just kind of going to hell.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing how something like that can just ruin it for.
Yeah, that is something that people really don't like to talk about.
No, right.
But that is true. That it's some people will say, well, porn isn't a bad thing, and some people say, well, porn is the worst thing of all time. And and then there's some people who are like, we've had porn for a long time, but we also didn't have it in the way that it is now, right? It used to be like pictures, or if it was a video, you had to go to a store and you had to buy it and you had to do this, and now it's all free and you can just like go on your phone whenever you want at any point in time and you can find whatever you want, right? The most extreme to the most tame to the most whatever, you can find it. Like you got some weird ass kink, you can find it. And I'll tell you, I know that's kink shaming. I know.
Yeah, okay.
I have been told that I am kink shaming, but there are some weird ass kinks out there, and I'll die on that hill. That is fine. If somebody's like, you're kink shaming, would be like, yes, I am. Because there are some weird ass kinks out there.
I feel like I'm being attacked.
Yeah. I was looking at Trevor the whole time. Yeah. I was just like,
But just instant gratification.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what that whole topic right there went to. But
yeah, I mean,
it's diet. Same thing with give somebody a pill.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. Or I know a few people that got like this stomach surgery.
Yeah.
Which again, I don't know much about it.
Is this the one where they like shrink the size of the stomach kind of thing?
Yeah. So I mean,
I don't know what it's called.
liposuction. I don't know if that's as common anymore.
I don't know either, to be honest with you.
But
no, issues of it kind of all does boil down to instant gratification. Why take the time to eat better and exercise for 30 minutes every day, 20 minutes every day, whatever it may be, when I can take this pill and get maybe similar results, right?
Look at steroids.
Steroids are huge now. The best example of that.
There are YouTubers out there that they have people like unfollow them because they quit using steroids.
Yep.
And then you hear of people just dying of like cardiac arrest or all these things that are linked to steroids just to look better and get that extra pump in the gym.
Yeah. And that's, this podcast is going way off the rails, and that's great. Like, I'm happy about that, right? Like, this is not, we had none of this planned.
No, this was
like, and that's what I mean. It's going way off the rails. Like, this is not anything that we plan on talking about. But no, so that's, tying it into something that I was going to talk about is that I hate marketers, and that is somebody who is a marketer by trade, right? Like, I am, that's what I do. And that's why I killed the marketing consulting business, because I was like, what do I ultimately want to be remembered for, right? And I was like, marketing in and of itself isn't a bad thing. But I was like, man, if I really dislike this many marketers, if I really have this big of an issue, if I have all of these things, is this what I want to actually be remembered for? And that's why I was like, no, I want to go into like the fitness and self-development space and actually help people do what we're doing here.
And there's marketing. It goes two ways, right? Because when you're a marketer, obviously you're getting into the fitness. I think we're going to go over that here in a little bit.
Yeah.
But like you're coming out of a way of service. Like with my past, with my career, what I do, like these are patterns that I've seen.
Right.
And I know we've had that conversation. I mean, I can't talk about what the specifics are with it, but you see a pattern of people that can turn their life around compared to the people that could, but they just don't.
Yeah.
Or the people that just have been mentally trained wrong.
Yeah.
Or not wrong, I shouldn't say, but wrong. And then, in my specific career, when somebody does a bit in prison, they get out, and then where do they go? They go right back to what got them there.
Right.
So, and it's not all the time, it's not their fault.
Right.
But and I'm not going to get into that career, but I'm going to just say that happens all the time. Like, who are the people that build you up to who you want to be? Who are the people that bring you down? Like, kind of evaluating. And that's kind of what part of this is, and why I brought up marketing on that is when I started the affiliate marketing business, I was under the understanding that you got to get somebody to click on your link and buy so you can get your commission.
Right.
At the end of the day, that's what affiliate marketing is. But are you coming through it saying, hey, look, here's a product that I trust. Here's a YouTuber that, maybe a supplement company of like, hey, here's where I get my whey protein. It's healthier because of these reasons.
You know what, you're right. And I should backtrack, and I should say that not all, like, marketing in and of itself is not a bad thing. Like, literally, you would not know anything existed, or you wouldn't buy anything if it wasn't for marketing in some way, shape, or form, right? I mean, it all boils down to marketing. The best product in the world that could solve all of the world's problems isn't going to sell if it's not marketed and people don't know about it, right? It's just what it is. But you're right about that, right? So with the supplement thing, hey, you know what? Whey protein has been shown to have a lot of positive benefits, right? This is a whey protein I trust. This is one I like. If you click on this link, I get some commission through that. Nothing wrong with that. That's great. That is marketing by definition. Some people don't like to admit that, but guys, it's marketing, and that's fine. But the supplement thing, right? Of like, take this whey protein and you can look like me. Well, that's deceptive marketing.
Oh, right.
And then that's a problem, right? Like, hey, this is something I use to help me perform this way and be this way. Yeah, that's A-okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But it is the deceptive marketing that is the problem. And unfortunately, I know way too many marketers who are A-okay with doing that just to make the buck. And that's why I'm burnt out on it.
And people see that, though. Like, even studying how to become an affiliate for different companies and stuff like that, I've seen people that literally just post on like social media and say, hey, this is cute, buy this. Like, it's not even a niche of anything. Like, with me, I love personal development. Like, I love it when people can, jump out of the dirt or get out of the hole that they may have dug or may have found themselves in.
Right.
So that's where, like I would never promote like Avon or anything like that. But it's just some people are like that. That hey, I just need that money. Like I don't care if my following is doing the best that they can, or they don't put content out for them. Like I don't want to be like that. I want people to know who I am and why I'm doing it.
Well, like before, you said, going about it from the act of service.
Yes, and it all depends on where you're coming. You know what you're coming from. From service, people see that.
Yeah.
Finally got out of that rabbit hole. So.
Oh man, every episode won't have that many sound effects. Maybe it will.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll figure.
We're
it
just
out.
having a lot of fun. We did not know that existed.
Wait till we get more buttons, and it'll just get worse probably.
Oh, we'll have like every 30 seconds, like sound effect goes off.
So we kind of went over some things. I guess we could probably sum it up. Unless you have more updates on what you've been.
Let's see. Killed the marketing consulting business. That doesn't mean I won't ever do any marketing coaching or anything in the future, but it has to be for stuff I believe in, right? You know, it has to be that way. Moving to the fitness and personal development space, you know, I gave myself the deadline of everything has to be planned out and decided on before January 1st, and January 1st, 2023 is when I start building it. That doesn't mean I'm accepting clients at that point. That doesn't mean that my website is completely built at that point. It just means that I have my plan of what I'm going to do, and then I got to do it. And I'm pretty much there already. So I'm like 2 months ahead of the game. So I'll probably remove my website, you know, it can't be like from indexing, can't be really visited or found, and then build it all up and everything, and then launch it. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff I got to do. I mean, we're talking about it. I got to get certified in CPR and the AED, the automatic electronic device or something.
Yeah, I got training
like the
for
shock kind of stuff. Like, got to get that. Got to get certified in that. Got to be a certified personal trainer. Got to move my business NAICS number with the feds over to be doing fitness stuff instead of marketing stuff. And
could you leave that there though? Because technically, I don't know. I feel like marketing is such a broad.
You probably could. So here's the thing. I don't think the NAICS, whatever that actually stands for, number matters that much from what I've read and from what I've ever understood. I think it mostly kind of comes down to auditing kind of purposes. You know, like if you're registered as marketing and all of a sudden you're buying jet skis and stuff. I mean, you could technically use those for marketing. I'm not going to say you can't, because now I'm like, oh, I got a brilliant marketing idea. Jet skis, like lifting weights on a jet ski. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you could do that, but I think it's mostly like, hey, you know what? You're listed this company as under marketing. Why are you buying like 12 apartment complexes? Like, that's odd, isn't it? You know, kind of thing. I think that's mostly what it is. Probably doesn't matter that much. Not giving you any business advice, by the way. You figure out your own stuff with that. Talk to your own tax and accountant and lawyer people. But I'm just going to move it over because it's free to do and it's super easy. I just got to go to the IRS's website and then just change what my business industry is in. Then I got to get the insurance. I'm already in the process of getting the insurance stuff to do all the fitness stuff. I got a couple people who have agreed to, like, who I've been like, hey, can I offer you free training as I'm like really learning to do this? I got a few people that I'm kind of like picking out as mentors and everything to really learn how to do this properly and effectively. And I'm just kind of building out like my mission statement. Shout out to Jeffrey Oakes. Great guy, by the way. If you're ever into this, like the steel mace stuff, follow him. Super cool. He talked about like, develop your mission statement for life and then follow that. Like, you can change that throughout time, but follow that because that will guide your principle, throughout it. And yeah, man, I mean, I kind of want to just go about it from the, like, how can I just kind of want to make it so that, I don't know, I kind of want to help guys be better husbands, better fathers, and that's like, I'm not a pro. I'm not even a dad, right? Like, I've been married for a month and a half, right? Like, I'm not a pro at any of this, but what are things like, hey, we're all in this together. Like, hey, here's some fitness stuff to help you out so that you can take care of your family. You can take care of the shit in your life that you need to take care of and just live your life. But how can I help people? Like, hey, we're all in this. Like, here's a monthly challenge, kind of like what we plan on doing with this. Like, just let's do this. Like, let's try to be better husbands by doing this week or this month, right? Like, hey, let's try to be better fathers by just doing this or whatnot, this is not all solidified and final, but like I'm trying to just make it so that how can I provide the most value to people just to help them be better in business, be better in their, be a better friend, be better, feel better personally, be better fathers, husbands, like better community members and everything. And this is all stuff that I'm working on too. So the best part is sure, I might have a lot of the knowledge in the fitness side of things to like help people out. Like you don't have to worry about, taking all this time to like, oh, what do I got to do to work out today? It's like, hey, already got it for you. Here you go. Also, let's all try this. Like, let's build a community to just keep building each other up to be better every single day. And that draws inspiration from like the Savage Army or the Order of Man. The Iron Council is an example of that. There's like different groups that I'm kind of drawing inspiration from. Not trying to like steal anything from anybody, right? But how can I build a community of people who can really like build themselves up to make the world a better place.
And it helps that, I'm going to piggyback a little bit. It helps that you're living it. Like it's not, nobody's a professional. Nobody starts out like any fitness instructor, anything like that. Like they were never a professional until they started doing it. Right. Like you don't have to have your fancy degree. And that's one thing too, is, I personally believe that everybody was meant to do something great.
Yes.
And they always undersell themselves. People undersell them. But like, that's kind of what this is about, is building that community. I mean, living through it. And you got to build something before you can optimize it, right?
Yeah.
So if you think about all the details, and that's where I struggled when I was starting to build my website, like I had to have the perfect picture. I had to, I had to wait till I dropped some weight or whatever. It's like, just do it. Like as you progress and people see that, that's going to mean more than
absolutely
you just being perfect.
Never trust anybody who says that they have all the answers. Like, don't trust that person, right? I mean, people can have a lot of answers, but if they're like, I know everything, surely they know nothing, right?
Right.
I mean, look, we're going to look back on this in like a year. I can't wait. Like, I am legit excited to watch this podcast in a year and be like, oh my God, that was so cringy.
That first podcast that we did, I was like, robot. Like, that will impact your life if you do it.
Right.
Yeah, really. That's going over on kind of the very basic goals, I'd say.
Yeah.
Because obviously, as you move forward and, you're going to want to add more things to your life.
Oh, yeah.
Or you should. Like, you should always... I'm a strong believer that if you're not growing, you're dying.
Oh, absolutely.
Kind of thing. Like, it's the same thing if you don't walk or run, or if you don't use your body, then you're going to lose it, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like lifting weights. Like, I love weightlifting.
Yeah.
You probably can't tell, but I'm a work in progress. Okay. But
you're right though. I mean, I don't think Brooke will mind me saying this. I'll ask her, to confirm before posting it. But she said, so she had never seen the show Lost, right? The whole like TV series. And then last year she started to watch it. She's like, well, I want to watch it. And she finished it in like 3 weeks or a month or something, right? Like that's just kind of what we did. We went to work, did this, did that, and watched Lost. And she's like, yeah, she told me a while ago, she's like, I didn't work out for like 3 weeks. All I did is just say, like, came home and I sat down and I watched Lost. And she's like, and it was great. Like I had a lot of fun. She's like, but like at the end of that 3 weeks, like I felt shitty, like I just felt like I lost, like I was just kind of caving in on myself kind of thing, And so I think that's a testament, and I agree to what you're saying of like, if you don't use it, you lose it. If you're not growing, you're dying. If you don't keep walking, if you don't keep running, if you don't keep lifting weights, if you don't keep being physical, you lose it. Muscle atrophy is a real thing.
Well, that, and a lot of people, like 2020 has been weird since 2020.
Yeah.
Like the whole Netflix, there's a lot of people that were just kind of addicted to it anyways.
Yeah.
And kind of fed right in. I don't want to use the word fed into it, but it was so normalized. Like everybody had to stay at home. Everybody was locked down. Like you weren't supposed to go see people. Like it was like I think the generation below us, even in like high school, like look at the kids that had to go from or school from home.
Right.
Like what are they missing now? Like the social skills, and we're going to go in a whole nother rabbit hole if we continue to talk about that.
But these are how our conversations go, like off screen. Like, this is like, we talk about one thing and then we go way out into left field and then we come back and be like, yeah, but back to what we were saying. And then we go way out into right field. Like, we're just all over the place in these conversations. And that's kind of what this podcast turned into. And that's great. That's A-okay, but you are right. I mean, it fucked up a lot of people, especially kids, right? You look at the numbers now of like, man, everything that happened, kids are way behind in school now, like lost years of where they usually would be at this point. The social skills, like the number of teens who are reporting like serious social anxiety or social disorders now because for 2 years, like people don't realize that your early teens into teen years for socialization, like that's one of the most important times, right? I mean, when you're a baby to like 5 for socialization of like being around people, but to come into your own identity and to kind of figure out who you are and all of these other things, that age range is huge. Like that's kind of when you're becoming your own person, right? Like you're like, and that's why it's always so complicated between parents and kids and everything. And like there's so many fights and everything. I don't look forward to that phase of parenting, but it'll also be great, right? To see them become their own person, to become less important in their, I mean, always important, but like they're not relying on me so much. It's like they become their own person and kind of figure that out. And I'm excited to see who my future kids end up becoming. But, yeah, all of a sudden it's like, no, stay at home. You can't hang out with your friends. What are you talking about? No, listen to everything that we're saying. And I'm not saying that it was right or wrong to lock everything down. I understand that, especially at the start, nobody knew what to expect. And that's a very valid debate to have right there. But when it continued on, we now know, like we knew for a long time that, hey, this isn't good. It's not impacting kids. But people were like, no, don't want to risk it. And now we're seeing consequences of it. And we're not going to know the full extent of these consequences of what we chose to do out of fear or out of power or whatever it may be for 10, 20 years. And we pulled like the biggest social experiment of all time, probably right there. And I think we're going to find out the negative consequences of it. I mean, we're already seeing a lot of negative consequences and people are starting to finally talk about it 2 years later. But I really do feel bad for those kids because it's going to mess them up for a long time. Sorry. There's my tangent.
No, you're good.
I'm not sorry about anything I said. I am sorry that I went on that tangent and interrupted you.
No, you're good. That's what this is about because, obviously I think I speak for everybody. Anybody who would be interested in this kind of content, like we got our work cut out for us.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a doctor to be there for somebody.
No.
Because that's kind of what inspired me. I'll go over this because we're kind of talking about personal goals before we close things down with this. But with the affiliate marketing business, like with the whole, personal, professional goals, physical, whatever it be, whatever your goals are, we have such a bad environment for people who fail.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not going to get into any specifics about like government or anything like that, like with my job, because obviously no system's perfect, right? But we have this overall negative atmosphere for people who try something and fail. Like if they did, so-and-so screwed up a business, like why would they do that? Or like, look at how many millionaires started a business and they just kept failing.
Yeah.
But that's where this community that hopefully will expand is like, this is a safe place where you can fail to try to reach your goal. As long as you're trying to be intentional and serve.
Yeah.
This is a good place for people to just go for support.
Yeah, no,
because you don't have to have the fanciest car in the world. You don't have to. We have this big generalization over, so and so is attractive because they got this cool truck or this car or whatever. Obviously, me, I love my beater cars because hey, point A to point B, but you don't have to have the biggest fanciest diet to be the best shape that you can be or the best health. Like there's other ways and you don't have to spend a bunch of money.
Right.
So,
well, here's the thing, it's ironic, I guess, that I'm going to go say this, and in some ways I can argue against it, but I'm going to say fitness and diet should not be your top priority in life. It should be taking care of the people that you love and making sure you provide for your friends and your family, and like that you are providing a net positive in life rather than a net negative, that you are producing more than you are consuming, that you are net positive to the people around you, right? Fitness and health and everything are very important in that, but they should be the tool that allows you to do that, right? If you are just completely selfish and you do not take care of anybody else and you let your personal life completely fall apart, all in the name of, well, look at how shredded I am and look at how ripped I am and look at how, quote, healthy I am, then you missed the point. Like that, you missed the point of all of that.
Well, and you can make that argument because, and this is exactly what you said, if I listened to you correctly, is, love yourself.
Yeah.
Like always love yourself, whatever shape, size, boy, girl, circle, whatever you are.
Yeah.
But love yourself enough to do something about it. Like same thing, like the number one priority, take care of your family. Look, if you're dead, if you don't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of your family?
Right.
And I know I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, or maybe a little bit.
Go down the rabbit hole. Let's do it.
Like suicide.
Yeah.
Like people think, oh, I'd be so much better without people, and people would be so much better without me in their life.
Right.
Or like, oh man, I'm going through this or whatever. Like I'm just going to end it. But then they don't really realize what's left behind there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, if you're feeling that way, I mean, seriously, talk to somebody. But I mean, for anybody who doesn't grasp it, I mean, actually watch the movie It's a Wonderful Life. Like, don't just sit there and be like, oh, this cheesy movie from the 40s or whatever. But like, actually watch it and listen to the message and listen to the things that are said, because that movie is powerful. And at the end there, I'm not going to give it all away, but there's one line that like just shows, like, captures everything. And it's like, to George Bailey, the richest man in town, right? That line right there, like when you watch the whole movie and then you hear that line and you actually pay attention to all of it, you're like, I get it. Like, I get it now. And I think it's an important movie for people to watch, honestly, for that exact reason, because the world is not a better place without you.
Exactly.
It's really not.
So yeah. So if anybody's going through that, definitely like get help. Like, we're not doctors at all, but again, you don't have to be a doctor to be able to believe in somebody. No. And I've seen people, there's a constant joke, right, of when people go to the local college, Lansing Community College. It's Last Chance College.
Yeah.
But I've seen people go there and they're doing awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But look at how frowned upon it was. And I think we're making a turn where trades are kind of becoming more of a noble career than what it was when I was in school, because they were pushing college so much.
Right.
And I think that's finally kind of turning around now that we're seeing all of these tradesmen like shortages.
Yeah.
Where now it's like, oh wow, maybe we shouldn't have talked down on them so much.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, oh man,
look what we did. All right. Well, hey, I think that's all I got for the first podcast. I just want to keep you guys updated on what happened, and that's one thing before we do end here today. I just want to let everybody know that that's kind of the plan for this. Like, it's every week we'll have a topic. We've been kind of studying these successful people.
Yeah.
And we plan on having people on here for the actual interviews.
Yeah.
And same thing, if anybody wants or knows somebody who would want to be interviewed, I don't know, a mentor, maybe it's a teacher, a local, whoever.
Yeah.
Right. It can be anybody. Everybody's got all sorts of mentors.
Yeah.
But let us know, like in the comments below, if you wanted to have a special interview with somebody around here. So I don't know, before we see you in the next 2 weeks, write down some things that you want in your life. And they don't have to be major. And I know there's the cheesy saying, get 1% better every day.
Right.
But, what's one more thing you could add? I don't know, maybe it's in your relationships. Maybe it's in your fitness. Maybe it's professionally. I don't know. Maybe which again, you build up one of these 3 categories and it's going to automatically build up the other ones.
Yeah.
Like if you're fit, you're going to be more fit for your family.
Yeah.
If you more fit, then there are studies done that typically people in better shape get more promotions at work.
Yeah.
Like they had studies on it, and I read into it a little bit, but so think about some things, write it down. The next topic's gonna be a surprise. That being said, like, subscribe, hit the bell if it's on YouTube. On the other platforms, subscribe.
Yeah.
We'll be putting content out, free content for anybody who's just looking to change. All right. Well, hey, thanks everybody for listening. There's plenty more to come. Obviously, as we're working on ourselves with our personal, professional, physical goals, we'll be updating you there. And we're all doing our own separate things on top of this. So if you want to subscribe our other pages too,
Links in the description.
Links in the description. Yep. So with that being said, thanks everybody. Anything else you want to add, JJ, before we
have a great day?
Hey, have a great day.
That's it.